It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the World of Tanks Blitz matchmaker absolutely sucks balls. How many games have you played this week where one team has 5 autoloaders and the other team has none? How many games have you played this week where one team gets 2 tier 10 mediums, the other team gets 2 tier 9 mediums? It's so incredibly common. And it is one of the most irritating things ever. What I'm going to be showcasing today is definitely promising news, and it has to do with World of Tanks PC. Wargaming has basically said they're going to be redesigning the entire matchmaker for World of Tanks PC. And it's basically all of the changes that I have been wanting for PC and also been wanting for Blitz. So in today's video, we're going to be going over the changes that are happening to the World of Tanks PC matchmaker. The reason why is because, at the end of the day, I think there's a decent chance that Wargaming might try and implement this into Blitz as well. I really hope they do. The way the matchmaking and the code of the games work is the exact same. The way the matchmaker on World of Tanks PC and Blitz, apart from the +1, -1, and +2, -2 differences between the games, apart from that, the actual code for the matchmakers are basically identical. You could probably copy and paste them. And that's really important because that means if Wargaming is working on changing the matchmaking for PC, I'm hoping that Wargaming is also going to be working on changing the matchmaking for Blitz. I'm going to actually ask behind scenes and see what's going on here, but I really hope that that we get some news on this. So let's see exactly what they say. For the past 15 years, we've been evolving and refining the matchmaker, yet it remains far from the state we aspire to achieve. We recognize how crucial this aspect of the game is, which is why we've continuously worked to improve it. However, despite our efforts, our current approach hasn't brought the progress we aim for. That's why we believe it's time for a change and we're ready to take a new direction to move forward. Matchmaker core and principles. Matchmaker handles millions of operations, conditions, and actions for every battle. It also needs to control a constantly changing number of players in queue, and the key component responsible for this workload is the Matchmaker core. It's responsible for processing all requests and do calculations while staying true to the matchmaking key principles. So here we have the 3 different bullet points of what the matchmaker tries to do. Balanced battles, creating varied team compositions based on matchmaking core rules, which they don't tell us. Okay. Engagement and battle variety, bringing diverse battle setups. Okay, that's probably why you get steamrolls right now. And then the third one is speed and efficiency, minimizing queue times while maintaining high battle quality. This one is, I agree with this one. This needs to obviously stay. So we can see what they're going to say. To uphold these principles and introduce new features, we had to completely rebuild the matchmaker core from the ground up. Modifying the core is an incredibly challenging task. Even the smallest adjustment require significant time. Deep technical reworks and careful testing to maintain stability and balance. So what exactly do we want to improve in the new system? So here we go. The first one that World of Tanks PC is going to be having fixed is improved role balance. Gee, guys, it's almost like this is something that I've been bringing up for, I don't know, the past 4 years now and been begging Wargaming to put in Blitz. Let me explain what role balance is. The matchmaker will try to better adjust team compositions to create more balanced setups. Just an example, one team can have 1 or 2 super heavy tanks, a mouse, and an E100, while the opposing team has 1 or 2 autoloaders, AMX 50B and 57 heavy. Sound familiar? How many games in Blitz do we play where one team's driving a super heavy and the other team gets a T95E6, which are not comparable at all? What Wargaming has said, these tanks fulfill very different roles. Super heavies are built to absorb damage and hold positions, while autoloaders are designed to deal damage and support allies. Now vehicles with different roles will be distributed more evenly across teams. For example, Team 1, Mouse and E100. Team 2, AMX 50B 57 heavy. In the future, it will do Team 1, Mouse and 50B, Team 2, E100 and 57 heavy. The fact that this hasn't been something that's already implemented into the game is ridiculous. I actually brought this up on literally yesterday's live stream. There was a game I played where one team had 2 tier 10 mediums and the other team had 2 tier 9 mediums. I said, why didn't the matchmaker just give me 1 tier 10 medium, the enemy team 1 tier 10 medium, and then both a tier 9 medium? Like, Why is that so challenging for the matchmaker to figure out with its terrible brain? This is not rocket science, and yet, for some reason, having what should be baked into the game from day one is good news. But this is really good news for PC, and as I said, I'm really hoping that we're going to see this news come into Blitz as well. That's really, really good news there. Better class diversity. We will introduce stricter limits, ensuring a maximum of 5 tank destroyers, 3 light tanks per team. That's actually huge as well. I can tell you World of Tanks PC has the same problem with Blitz, where there is an influx of tank destroyers. I have played games on PC, there are 7, 8, 9 tank destroyers on each team. And you just can't do anything, because there's 9 tanks camping in every single position. You try to make one play, and boom, you're dead. It's definitely one of the things that I hated about PC. Wargaming is changing this, so now, on PC, you can only get 5 tank destroyers and 3 light tanks. I think this is another change that I would like to see in Blitz. Instead of having 3 tank destroyers every single battle I play, I would like it to be a maximum of 2. And then I would also like there to be a maximum of 2 to 3 mediums. That way, you don't have games where you have 3 tank destroyers, 3 mediums, 1 heavy, and then you're in that heavy and you're screwed because you can't do anything. There has to be a minimum of 2 heavies, 2 mediums, and 2 tank destroyers on each game, in my opinion. Obviously, there can be some differentiation. Tank destroyers are really the only class where it doesn't matter too much, right? In a tank destroyer, your goal is not necessarily to do the role of a medium or a heavy. Yes, there are frontline tank destroyers like the Badger and the E3, but if one team and the other team only have 1 tank destroyer, it's not as big of a detriment as both teams only having 1 medium. Both teams having 1 medium means that basically your entire flank and position may be basically on the hands of 1 player. That sucks. So I do think that this needs to happen here. This will create more dynamic and tactical battles where different tanks can play their intended roles effectively. Wow, if only we had that in Blitz. And then the biggest one for me on PC is that they're changing +1, -1. And the new matchmaker will focus on increasing the frequency of +1, -1 battles. However, we're keeping +2, -2. Oh, that sucks. I don't know why they're doing that. So let's see what else. Smarter vehicle distribution. Highly popular tanks often flood the queue, leading the battles where both teams are packed with the same vehicle. Does the FV215B183 ring a bell, anybody? How many games do you play where there is 2 183s on both teams? I'd say it's at least 10 to 15% of the games I play, which is ridiculous. And it's not just the 183. There are so many tanks like the T-77, the Bosch-Chatillon Barask, and cringe tier 10s that when Wargaming buffs them, I remember when the 113 GFT got buffed and everybody drove it, and it was so incredibly cringe to fight. So what they're doing now on the PC matchmaker is limiting the number of identical tanks per team and distributing them evenly for more varied experience. Once again, this is something that I think is very good. Smarter and faster dynamic queue management. This new system brings dynamic queue management, allowing matchmaking to adjust its rules in real time instead of relying on fixed settings. It will analyze player distribution and vehicle availability, fine-tuning parameters on the fly. The result, if testing confirms our expectations, we'll achieve consistently high battle quality no matter the time of day. This is huge news for World of Tanks PC. This is absolutely huge news. It's so big on the news department that I really might start playing PC again. It's unfortunate that I don't have access to a press account anymore on PC, because that was my main way I was really playing the game, especially when I was posting content. So hopefully at some point in the future, I will have access to a press account again. But point being, the fact that Wargaming is doing this on PC is giving me a small amount of hope that just possibly they will do this for Blitz as well. And I will try and push this as much as I can. Like, I think all of you will agree that we want these changes in the game. I don't really care too much about +1, -1. I mean, to be fair, and I've said this in the past, I think even tier matchmaking is still the most balanced way to go about Blitz. There's so many people that are like, oh my god, but that makes the games boring. Does it really? How many tier 8s are in Blitz? Over 120? You really telling me that you can't have different unique battles with over 120, 150 different tanks in that tier alone? I think it would be a lot more fun and a lot more fair if the tier that you played was the tier that you fought. Personally, I think that. There's people out there that probably disagree, But I find it incredibly cringe when you're in a tier 6 and then you get put up against 2 Annihilators or a Smasher, and you just can't do anything because the tank's completely overpowered. Doing this would also make it much easier to balance, because then you would only have to balance for that tier and not have to balance for the tier above and below corresponding to the tier in between, if that makes sense. So you'd only have to balance tier 10s against tier 10s, tier 9s against tier 10s, tier 8s against tier 8s. You get my point. Either way, this is good news for PC, and I hope that this is good news for Blitz as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!